Hello YouTube and welcome back to Fire Gaming Project. So in this short video, I'll be doing a quick review of my baby daughter girl, Klee. So not many people have her because she was one of the first characters to release and she only had a rerun at 1.6 right before we switched over to Inazuma for 2.0 onward. So it is expected that she will be making a rerun at some point, likely in the next two patches, within the next two patches, to 2.6 or 2.7. I previously had predicted that she was going to come maybe possibly in this patch 2.5, but of course later on I did an updated prediction and changed that because then more news was coming out that likely it wasn't the case, and we obviously know it's not the case. I just posted a review for Venti, so do check that out as well. This is the first time I'm officially reviewing Klee, and also that was the first time I officially reviewed Venti as well. So yeah, I haven't actually rebuilt her in any major significant way since way back, like since I had her built up. I was using her as one of my main solid team characters for team members for most of my whole playthrough, all the way through to like my early AR-50s. Um, and of course, along the way, I did optimize her a little bit, but since then, I have not used her significantly anymore. You may have seen some of my usage of her in some of my team comps here and there, for some of my live stream gameplays and such like that when I'm doing chats. But otherwise, I don't normally use her anymore. Unfortunately, though, she is no longer as meta, let's say. And similar to Venti, they have kind of been power crept, and or they're just not as, I guess, popular anymore, let's say, or not as relevant, let's say, for the current gameplay. But that does not mean that they're not decent characters. So similarly, she is also still a decent DPS character for PYRO. And let's get to it. Make sure that you guys are subscribed, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, of course. Feel free to leave a comment. If she was to come back, would you guys pull for her? I still think she's super adorable. I think all the voice actresses for her did a really great job and to give that feeling where she's super cute and lovable. I think that it's just great just to get her just for that, if anything. So let's get to it. And early on in the game, she was actually the most popular early on, of course, way back. She had the highest sales for the longest time. Her record wasn't broken until like way later, and then of course, Raiden Shogun is the most popular character of all time, having the highest sales. But originally, Klee had a really high sales because that was right after the game launched, and people weren't too sure what was going on. Of course, people missed Venti, so they thought, oh, Klee must be really good then because she's the next, limited character. So that was kind of the backstory back then. I was very happy that I got her for free using my free Noel wishes and the free early game wishes that you get from just, of course, joining the game in your mail and also like exploring Mondstadt. So I got her for free. I got her and Jean for free, and I think I got Child and Zhongli for free shortly after as well, so I'm very happy. So anyway, let's get to it. So, alright, so this is my build of her. It hasn't really changed. I've optimized her a little bit since then, but yeah, like her crit rate is only just a little bit above 50. Her crit damage could be higher, but it's fine. Her energy recharge, I focus more on that because I find that she needs it. Pyro damage is always nice bonus, of course. In this case, it's a little higher because I have the resonance, because I have a Bennett on this team. And yeah, so because of that, don't worry about this damage bonus here. That's just because of the resonance situation. Alright, so for weapons, so this book is technically still her best in slot, so to speak, because this book was her book, okay, or is her book, The Lost Prayer, okay. I do have it here at R2, but at R1 it's still fine. I would not say that this book is a must get, especially not for her. And some people don't like this book because it does take some time to build all 4 stacks because it comes up every 4 seconds. It's not like, so you have to wait 16 seconds, but she is meant to be a DPS. She is meant to be on the field. Therefore, that's why they designed it that way. Of course, these are also older weapons, keep that in mind, and also standard 5-star weapons that appear on the standard banner. So these have not been reworked or buffed or anything like that. So then, of course, obviously, the newer weapons will have more relevant or more meta, quirks and appeal, right? But anyway, this is her weapon. I didn't get it originally when I got her, but I got it later on, around the time when she was rerunning around 1.6. So other viable weapons for her are her, of course, from 1.6. If you guys were around since then she has her Jotoko Tails, her event exclusive weapon, and this one was actually pretty good for her as well. It also matches her color scheme wise, of course, and it was her storyline after all. This is a good book for her. Enough said. Basically, this will be technically it's meant to be one of her best 4-star weapons, if not her best. Of course, now we have the Oathsworn Iron. This is just a very universal weapon, so I want to say that this is also very good, and people have compared, I have not, but other people have compared into the damage test. These two event weapons basically are very comparable in a variety of ways. So yeah, this one just has higher attack percentage bonus, as you can see, but this one has higher base attack flat. So yeah, this one has energy recharge. So if you're Klee, if you have Klee and you need to boost her energy, then that's good for the passive. But this one is good for her damage, right? Another one that's good if you guys are willing to pay for the battle pass is to get the Solar Pearl. This is basically a 4-star battle pass version of the Lost Prayers in many ways. The passive actually is very similar to the Dodoko Tales, which means the Dodoko Tales was kind of meant to be like a cheaper event version of this, right? Which is okay too. I would not recommend any of the Elemental Mastery books, so you can skip the Sacrificial Fragments here. You can skip, what's the other one? Oh, here, the Map of Mare. Now, early in the game, I didn't have any weapons for her, so I did craft the Map of Mare. This is just history. I did craft this and use this on her for the longest time in the early game. And then later on, as I got the battle pass, I gave her this instead and leveled it up. Another viable weapon for her would be the Witsith, and the 3 passive options that could happen would all be good for her as well. So I think that that's not bad. And then some people do use Thrilling Tales. I don't recommend that on her because she's not meant to be swapped in and out like that. And if that's the case, you might as well just put that on somebody else instead. The Hakushin Ring is not meant for her because it's more for electro reactions, which she's obviously pyro, so it's not suitable for her. And then the Favonius is a very universal weapon. The Favonius series is meant to be universal. So this is okay in the beginning if you're starting out with her, if you're newer to the game, and you do get her. You can give her Favonius as a placeholder and then later on switch it out. Frostbearer is okay, but not many people went for this and continue to like craft it. As you can see, I have it at R2, but I'm trying to just build out my craftables. So that's just a little personal thing that I'm doing, nothing else. So I don't recommend this for her, but it does have the potential to give some reactions because it has a potential to proc cryo. So then with her, with her pyro, then it can melt potentially, but it's still not recommended. Again, these other options are better. I'll be honest, Oathsworn Eye is definitely very universal and it's probably like the best for most Catalyst users now at this point. And of course, the Blackcliff is a very good placeholder for damage, definitely. In terms of her passive procking, it won't proc as often because she's kind of like single target more or less, with minor AoE only if the enemies are close enough to each other. So I don't recommend the Blackcliff for her, but it could work for her as a placeholder and as a stat stick for crit damage. So that's okay too. All right, moving along. So she does not need a 4-piece Crimson Witch of Flames because she doesn't do that much. Again, she's single target mostly, so she doesn't really do that much like reactions. She's not like a Hu Tao, where Hu Tao has a little bit more AoE and reach with her pole arm and can do more reactions. So yes, the Klee can be set up that way, of course, but you don't need to. Yeah, so and mind you, this is an older build and setup, so that's why her pieces are not like optimized. I would imagine that if you were to maybe consider using a Shimenawa set on her potentially that could do well as well because her elemental skill is useful and you do use her for normal and charge attacks. So Shimenawa could work for her. But anyway, moving along, let's just go back to what I actually have on her. So I just want to quickly go through this. So yeah, as you can see, I did 2-piece Crimson Witch and 2-piece Gladiator for the attack. And then a crit damage here, because I gave her crit rate weapon, and then of course pyro damage here and attack here. Alright, and then constellations. Now I did end up kind of succumbing to her cuteness, and on her rerun I got her C1. At one point during her rerun 1.6, I considered going for her C2 because arguably that makes her really, really strong, or stronger. But let's quickly go through it. So C1 just gives an extra potential, it says certain chance, an extra spark basically while she's doing her Q burst. There's extra damage potentially. Okay, so an extra shot, let's call it a laser beam here and there. C2, it creates her E skill. It gives a defense shred for 23%, which is not bad. It's actually she's one of the only characters in the game that just flat out just shreds defense versus shredding like an elemental resistance or a physical resistance. She just flat out shreds defense. So that's obviously universal across any type of enemy, bosses included. So that's why this is quite powerful, but I chose not to go too deep. C3, Her elemental skill, Jumpty Dumpty, will be increased by 3 levels. C4, if and when she leaves the field, basically, an explosion will occur, and then there's an extra 555% of flat damage, AoE pyro damage. So once she leaves during her Q burst. So this is okay, but it's not, I'll be honest, it's not really like a must. And then C5 is plus 3 levels to her Q burst, and C6 is she'll just regenerate more energy. C6 is not necessary because she generates a lot of energy already, just so we're clear. And she has one of the lower cost energy bursts in the game. So I would just say like these are not necessary, and so you don't need any of her constellations. I'll just be honest. I will say that I kind of just like Venti in my previous video right before this one. I also kind of regret getting her C1. I'll be honest, because I could have saved those wishes for something else instead. Yeah. So anyway, so not necessary. Talent-wise, I'd give her 999. And this didn't happen right away. I think I've had her at 666 and then 888 for the longest time, and then later on I just decided, went out of, I guess out of boredom and also just for my favorite characters, I just decided when I was deciding who to crown and stuff. I did not crown her, as you can see, but I decided like you know, who I wanted to bring up, and I didn't mind putting some resources here, so it's fine. I do like her. So yeah, so I made her 999. Now I will say for priorities, you will want to prioritize her normal attack. So you want to prioritize leveling this up as high as possible because you will end up using a lot of this, and I'll demonstrate right after this. Her Jumpty Dumpty is very useful, so you will want to. Now, some people don't like it because the little bomb mines that drop out don't all hit unless you can make them hit with someone like Kazuha or something like that. That's okay, I can see that, because they won't all hit, I get that, unless the enemy steps on them, right? Or you can group them together and then make them hit. That's okay, but then that's just extra work, so just keep that in mind. So some people don't like to level this one up, but it is useful, especially if you have C2 for her. But I can see that. So you don't have to max this one out. You can leave this at level 6 or 8, that's fine. But it is extra damage after all, right? This one, for sure, normal attack is her main priority. The reason why Q burst is not that important for her is because you'll know when I'm showing you after this, or you know already. Her Q burst, the sparks and splash, the things that fly out, the laser beams, are not controllable. Unfortunately, they're random. That's why this is not that great, but it does have a great deal of damage. It's decent. I wouldn't say it's huge, but it is decent. Okay, so then this one, when Jumpty Dumpty and normal attacks deal damage, Klee has 50% chance to obtain another explosive spark, and the spark is basically this little thing, that indicator, that is a little flower that floats by her, and then the next charge attack and deals 50% increased damage basically for the next attack. So it's okay. It's like a little buff. And then this one, when Klee's charge attack results in a crit hit, all the party members will gain extra energy. So that's why it's important to make sure that she has decently high crit rate, above 50%. That's the bare minimum. Hopefully 60 or 70 is preferred, but you know. And then this one, she's very useful, especially in the game. In the beginning, for those of you who are older players, you'll know this. In the battle pass back then, we had to collect 100 specialties from each region. So she's very useful for identifying unique specialties for Mondstadt, such as those little flowery mushroom things that grow all over the windmills and the town. But yeah, that's no longer something that we need to do, so thank God. So this is no longer any more useful, to be honest, but it was good before. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get to it. And I'm not going to pair her with I guess an animal character to like suck up her little mind. But I guess I could. So, but anyway, we're not going to do that. So let's just leave it like that. I'm going to do this just so that I can, you know, do that. So like, yeah, so her main source of damage is her normal attacks and her charge attacks. So you want to make sure that you do all that, of course. And, you know, the bombs, yes, as you can see, not all the mines will hit. And that's okay. See, her normal attack is pretty good, and then this is charged, and it's pretty decent, you know? Yeah, and she does, in this case with Riding Shogun, it's a good little reactionary damage, and she does need to be on the field. Of course, the Lost Prayers, as you can see, lit up with the 4 things in the back, right, to give the maximum buff for her, and that's okay, yeah. So overall, she's still a very decent and viable character, but I would be honest with you, she's no longer a must-pull unit. I don't think she was ever a must-pull unit, but I will say she's must-pull in the sense that she's super cute, and the voice actresses in all languages did an amazing job making her feel like a really cute child that you just want to have. So if anything, that in itself could be a reason just to get her, or at least one copy of her, you know? She's still fun to play with, and I think that she's really cute, because, like, you know, she's just so cute, and her dialogues, she talks a lot though, just like any other child out there, but she's very cute. Okay, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll leave that there and I will end the stream here, but this video. But thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And do check out my Venti video as well. Thank you.